The Tigers drop a series to the Astros this weekend, and now at the 40-game mark are exactly 500. Let's talk about it all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Monday, May 13th, 2024. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The easiest, most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. The Tigers drop a 3-game set over the weekend at the hands of the Houston Astros. They dropped that at home. The scores were 2-5, 8-2, and 3-9. They are now 20-20 exactly at the 40-game mark. Their expected win-loss is 20-20. Their run differential is +3. They're 9-11 at home and 11-9 on the road, and they're 10-13 against teams that are over 500. All of that to say, when you average it out, this team has been almost exactly middle of the road. And certainly that is not like all paths don't lead to the same. What am I trying to say? Not every, in math class, I used this analogy a couple weeks ago. In math growing up, when you would do a problem, you had to show your work. Obviously, the work is not just perfectly 500, right? They've lost 7 of their last 9, but averaged out, that is where the Tigers stand 40 games in. I'm recording this on Sunday, so happy belated as you're listening to this Mother's Day to all of the wonderful, wonderful moms out there who continue to do fantastic things for all of us. Okay, so happy Mother's Day. Let's get right into it. We got a lot to talk about on this episode. What went wrong? We're starting with what went wrong, obviously, because the Tigers dropped this series. The offense on Friday and Sunday, whoop-de-doo, like big shocker, right? Torkelson has the 7-8 game hit streak going on. Hopefully he gets it going because I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna shoot it straight. I'm gonna say how I feel. Like I'm not just gonna box score watch. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't think he looks a whole lot different. And obviously the first home run of the season, finally. It's Mother's Day. He hit his first home run of the campaign. But I don't look at him and go, oh, wow, he's figured it out. Like he looks very similar to how he has. I'm hoping that is a sign of things to come. The home run is the most recent at bat. So hopefully that, can carry over. Maybe the timing is better. He's been pulling a lot more fastballs lately, which is at least something. That's some testament to the timing improvement. But it's a lot of ground balls to third base, man. A lot. Lead the league in doubles. Funny stat. A lot of those are just grounders down the third base line. Looking for noticeable improvement over a prolonged period of time before I change my tune on him. And I'm sure a lot of people are in a similar boat. Matt Vierling has been hitting in the top 3 of this lineup. I don't have any disrespect toward Matt Vierling. I think he can be a valuable part to this team. But as we talked about during the winter and throughout last season, right? Like Matt Vierling is a valuable utility player that probably should bat in the bottom half of your lineup, not be your 3-hitter. It's a testament to the offense yet again. I don't really know if I have too much else to say. Like we've broken this down from a million different angles. Like Riley Green wasn't Superman this weekend. Mark Canha is coming back down to what like he was always going to be. Wencio Perez is, shockingly not going to hold a 930 OPS or whatever it was, right? Like Javi has done next to nothing for a while now. Again, like there's not 162 different angles for me to break down how poorly this offense continues to be, dog. There's really not. We'll talk about more individuals. We will analyze and talk more about the offense, obviously, every single day and throughout this episode. I got a few players I want to name drop specifically on top of the players we've already talked about specifically, but it's like bashing your head against the wall over and over again. It is just remarkable. The bullpen this weekend as well. Andrew Chafin on Friday was absolutely brutal. Jason Foley continues to look not nearly the same as he did earlier in the year. There's a couple rough outings in a row for Alex Lang now. Like going into the season, we talked a lot on this show about the lack of a true highest leverage reliever, if you want to talk in AJ Hinch language, or you just say closer, that's easier for you. Like this bullpen will be solid. I'm not trying to make it sound like the bullpen's garbage now because of one bad series. I'm not worried long term about the pen, but when you play in 5 or more 1-run games a week because you can't score past the 4th inning, or sometimes you can't score in any inning, to be completely honest with you. Like this is your pen isn't going to hold on to every single 2-1 victory. It's not going to happen. No bullpen ever has done that. What, like, that's an absurd ask and like a ridiculous notion. Your starting pitching has been good. Your bullpen has been good. You need to score more runs. I know this is shocking, rocket science. I'm reinventing the wheel here. I'm aware. But like it all comes back to that. If you expected this bullpen to hold like a sub-2 or even sub-3 ERA as a team throughout the entire year, like that's absurd. That's absurd. You need a lick of run support. Okay. So like those were the two big things that went wrong this weekend. Your bullpen was not just 100% nails over the weekend. And I'm not trying to say, that again, Andrew Chafin I thought was brutal. Alex Lang has been brutal. Jason Foley does not look like the first 3 weeks of the season. Jason Foley, he doesn't look very good. Shelby Miller, I voiced my concerns with a lot. Like I'm not saying that this bullpen just deserves a free pass. And it's just like, oh, you got to score more runs. You have to score in every 7th, 8th, and 9th inning individually to win ball games. It's a group effort of suck, like we said last week. But that the number one issue on this team is not the bullpen. I assure you. Okay, so that's really what I wanted to drive home here or early on. Just point out the flaws while also realizing that they're that the offense is still not very good. In case you just like weren't aware. My goodness. Okay, let's keep it rolling here. Let's talk about what went right over the weekend. And honestly, several things that I have in my what went right category for this weekend are kind of like backhanded compliments. Like there's still several things that I'm going to point up and be like, well, but that's still not great. So let's get to that. Okay, let's break down obviously some really good starting pitching this weekend, some offensive things again still to talk about, etc. Okay, we'll talk about all of that right after this. Got to talk to you all today about our friends over at Policy Genius. It saves you time and money so you can provide your family with financial security and a financial safety net starting today. With Policy Genius, you find life insurance policies that start at just $292 a year for $1 million of coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. Policy Genius helps you compare your options from top companies, and their team of licensed experts is on hand to talk you through it. Talk to a team of award-winning agents who will walk you through the process step by step. You can easily compare quotes from America's top insurers. And look, they give you unbiased advice. They have no incentive to recommend one insurer over another, so you can truly trust their guidance. Thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot. from customers who found the best fit for their needs. Check life insurance off of your to-do list in no time with Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com/lockedonmlb or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/lockedonmlb. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2 of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, as always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We will be back tomorrow recapping Game 1 against the Marlins. We'll preview that series at the end of the episode today. Also, be sure to check out Locked On Sports Today. If you're tired of watching Fox Sports or ESPN and all the big time screaming and arguing that goes on, it kind of feels even manufactured at some points, be sure to check out Locked On Sports Today from all of our great hosts here at Locked On. It's a 24/7 streaming channel. You can subscribe on YouTube or watch for free on the Amazon Fire TV channels app. So we talked about what went wrong. I know they were very generalized conversations. I tried to throw in, individuals that I wanted to highlight, but this really was just bullpen couldn't hold in close games. Starting pitching did well. Offense isn't good enough to overcome bullpen doing poorly. That's really what this entire series kind of reeked of. Obviously, Game 2, the offense did show up. If we want to talk about what went right this weekend, I think that's probably a fair place to start. The offense on Saturday, again, Friday and Sunday was horrific, but who cares? Yeah, I guess on Sunday or on Saturday rather, they did well against Christian Javier, who was throwing 91-mile-an-hour meatballs down the middle. Still looked like he was still injured. And outside of the second inning, they scored a 1 run the entire game. Outside of, they had a 7-run inning. I'm not trying to, just make everything sound like every single thing is awful. I'm not trying to be too pessimistic here, but they took advantage of a really bad pitching performance. Credit where credit is due, I guess. Just looking for any remote amount of consistency on the offensive side of the ball. We just haven't seen that really at all this season. Colt Keith. I think he deserves to be on the side of things that went right this weekend. 3 hits in the 2 games that he played. But to be completely honest, I think Sunday was probably the best at-bats I have seen from him all season. He's been hitting the ball really hard. And I think that he's also pulling the baseball, which I think is a testament to the timing improving. He's hitting line drives. He's hitting hard fly balls. I am, again, to the pull side, I'm pretty optimistic, actually, from what I've seen over the last week, and specifically this weekend from Colt Keith, that he's going to start hitting the ball pretty well here soon, and the Tigers really need that to be true. So maybe it's just hoping. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm just completely delusional, and this is just me hoping for something because the offense has been so brutal, but they really need him to get going. And I am genuinely, I think the timing looks significantly improved. He was crushing the ball on Sunday. It was just finding gloves. I'm excited to see what he does going forward. Andy Ibanez, look, I've already dragged this offense enough this episode. Andy Ibanez, at least someone on this roster is going to swing at pitches over the heart of the plate, swing at balls in the zone, and he's going to put the ball in play quite a lot. At least you got one of those, man. And credit where credit is due. Andy Ibanez has made a nice little role for himself on this team and is carving out a career resurgence at this point, and I think he deserves a lot of credit. So Andy Ibanez continues to swing a pretty good stick. The starting pitching was, I think, pretty easily the highlight of this weekend. You had Mize, Skubal, and Flaherty. Casey Mize we'll start with. We'll go chronological. 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, and the 1 home run against. This was really a grinded out type of start. He really could not get strikes consistently most of the game. He gave up a ton of contact, got fouled off a lot. But the ball was put in play a lot. And not a lot of called strikes, not a ton of whiffs. But it was a lot of weak contact, sans the homer, obviously. He kept the ball on the ground a lot. And this just reeked of like a 2021 Casey Mize start, right? If you remember back then. Like he had a sub-4 ERA on the season. He just had really low strikeout numbers. And like that is what this start was. Not a lot of strikeouts, not a lot of swings and misses, but kept the ball on the ground, didn't give up a ton of damage, kept runners off the base paths for the most part. Ish. I guess he gave up 7 base runners in 6 innings. That's not awesome, but got outs when it mattered. Plenty of ground ball outs, double plays, etc. And like just going forward, every start, I'm just continuing to look for him to continue adjusting. Like that's we're still like in perspective. I know we're a quarter of the way through the season or whatnot, but like specifically, once every 5 outings once every 5 games he's going out there. Like he's still not that far removed from missing 2 years. Like I'm really just looking for him to continue to make adjustments every time out there. And I look forward to every Mize Day at this point for that reason. So, wasn't the most beautiful start in the world, but at the end of the day, only gave up 1 earned run in 6 innings. It's a game that you should win if your offense is even remotely competent. Tarek Skubal on Saturday gets the only win of the weekend. 6 1/3, 7 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. His ERA is 2.02 on the season now. Some of y'all are absolutely wild, dog. Like for real. He gave up 2 runs, and I was reading stuff on social media and like people on Twitter and comments and whatnot that like, why is he struggling? Like, what happened? What is he doing? Like Skubal like is imploding. It's like, my goodness, he gave up 2 runs in 6 1/3. He's good. Like it's okay. it's really okay. If you expected his ERA to be sub 2 across like the full season, that's a really high bar. I don't know what to tell you. Like in this outing specifically, he had some untimely walks. I think he walked 2. One of them especially was pretty poorly timed. Got jumped on a little bit early, but settled in and was fine because he's really, really good. He's okay. He's going to get popped at some point this year. I promise. Because everyone does. He's man. Golly. Okay, so Tarek Skubal continues to be the ace of this team. Jack Flaherty, 6 2/3, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts. He's a 3.88 ERA on the season. I thought his stuff looked absolutely fantastic yet again. The command was great. Even the home run he gave up that was kind of golfed out of here and barely over the wall. Also, Kyle Tucker is unbelievable. I was really, really impressed by Jack Flaherty yet again. So yeah, like those were your 3 starting pitching outings from the weekend, and you went 1-2, and you weren't even really within striking distance when the final out was made in either loss, right? Like I guess you lost by 3 on Friday, but like you got pumped on Sunday. Unbelievably frustrating, if that isn't abundantly clear. Let's talk stuff. Stuff might be the longest segment of this entire episode, actually. A lot of stuff happening this weekend. I want to talk just kind of vibes about where we're at 40 games in as well. We'll do all of that right after this. Got to talk to y'all today about our friends over at Prize Picks. We're in the middle of May now, and baseball season is fully underway, so do not miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your Prize Picks entries, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, first inning runs. Take your pick of more or less and add them to your Prize Picks entries today. Also, be sure to get in on all the playoff action and win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks as you and the world's best players take the game to a whole new level during basketball's postseason. Hockey's postseason as well. Absolutely electric. Pacers, Knicks. I've talked a lot about how that's my favorite series. Basketball. To all the Pistons fans, hug a Piston fan today. We who has it worse than us in basketball? Yeah. So, but a lot of fun currently happening in the NBA season. Be sure to check out, again, just more or less on a lot of different stats, like strikeouts for starting pitchers on the baseball side of things as well. always super fun. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, Locked On MLB for up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. We talked about the frustrations from this weekend. Let's talk stuff. Going to start off with some roster updates. Kenta Maeda goes to the IL. Respiratory illness. They said that he is really not feeling well. So wishing him a speedy recovery. Hopefully it's just, one stint on the IL and he can kind of get over it pretty quickly there. But the luxury of having starting pitching depth, Matt Manning is going to be called up as you're listening to this on Monday and will start the game on Monday. In the meantime, Akil Baddoo got called up for Sunday's ball game. Also, Jace Young was scratched over the weekend, and people were like, oh my goodness. And he's just sore. That was literally the report, was he is sore. He's dealing with soreness. So he just didn't play for a couple of days. He's still available off the bench as well. Don't expect him to get called up. Still with the Mud Hens. But yeah, I mean, as far as the Baddoo and Manning thing goes, like it sounds like a real chance that Baddoo is only here for a day. And, when Manning officially gets called up on Monday to replace Maeda in the rotation, that Baddoo will be sent back down. It could be Ryan Vilade, I guess. But again, like unfortunately for Baddoo, we just talked about this on Friday. All of the outfielders right now that are hitting, all the players on the team, period, kind of, that are hitting are left-handed hitting corner outfielders. So I just roster construction wise, I'm not sure they're going to keep them. I guess there's a chance they keep both of them and just go outfield crazy heavy. And like they, I don't know, DFA McKinstry or something. I don't think Colt keeps getting sent down. He finally looks like he's hitting the ball kind of hard. But we'll see. I think the most likely scenario is Baddoo just gets sent right back down on Monday. So we are 40 games into the season. So far, you're 20-20, right? Exactly 500. So far, it has been kind of like, dare I say, exactly as advertised. Exactly is probably a little too, I don't know. That's probably not correct to say it's precisely what we were advertised, but because it certainly hasn't been in a consistent manner. But the team has lost, again, 7 of your last 9 games. But the offense has been inconsistent at best and straight up bad at worst, right? And the pitching has been the reason that the team, that the head of the team is even remotely above water. And that is kind of exactly what the front office, Scott Harrison, said that we were going to get out of the team this year. I don't know if that pisses me off, or I'm certainly not like, hey, good job. It's certainly not giving credit here with this statement, but that is what they talked about all spring training, the front office, right? It was, oh, well, we want to get really good pitching to, because our offense is probably going to be inconsistent or struggle at times. Well, whoop-de-freaking do. Here we are. The issue is they're trending downward immensely, right? This offense, if this offense doesn't pick it up very soon, this team is going to dig itself into a very deep hole. And if the offense is just straight up bad, they are not going to hang around 500 with how the offense has looked the last 2 weeks, right? So that is where, again, I counter that point. I counter my own point, the perks of doing a show by yourself, right? Where it's not exactly what advertised, at least the last 9 games, especially. While you need your key players to improve, and we talked about that a lot last week as well. You also absolutely cannot just sit on your hands and see what happens the next 4 weeks. You have to right the ship. It is time to right the ship. Man. Frustrating 9-game stretch, frustrating weekend against a very winnable opponent. and you didn't even, again, like really come close. And it was close at one point. And again, the bullpen imploded. We talked about that. But like there's just no ability to score runs off of teams' bullpens. None. And really, like, because they can't score off of teams' relievers, then you look and you go, okay, well, when do they score? When the starting pitcher is struggling. You're not giving yourself too much wiggle room to score runs, big dog. Got to right the ship. And again, we've already talked a lot about some individuals that I'm hoping are turning a corner, hopefully can turn a corner, aren't turning a corner. We talked all about all that stuff. You play the Marlins next. We'll talk about that in a second. The City Connects debuted this weekend. I really didn't have an issue with them. I know that that's going to be unpopular by some. There's a portion of the fan base that really kind of messed with them and a portion that really didn't. I don't really fall into either of those. Like it sounds like they're going to wear them every Friday. Is that true? They said Fridays are going to be fun and then debuted the per Fridays plural. So like home Friday games, maybe our City Connect nights this year. I don't know. We'll see. I really didn't think they looked that bad, but I know some people absolutely hate them. I am glad that for the Sunday day game, Mother's Day, they went to the traditional whites. I am pleased about that development, for whatever that's worth. Because yeah, I was talking to my roommate about it, and he kind of brought up a good point. You know, the Wings and the Tigers, really all the teams in this city, but when we were talking about the City Connects, he said the Tigers just have the did it right the first time problem, right? But like the Tigers, you know, jerseys are just great, and they're not super flashy or fancy, but they're just timeless and awesome. And the Old English D is great. So, you know, there's going to be people that are mad about any alternate, but I really didn't have too much of an issue with them, and I'm fine if they want to wear them every Friday. Sure, that'll be a fun reason to get maybe some of the more casual fans to the ballpark. Another really cool thing this weekend, an organist, a live organist was in the ballpark playing for the first time since 1990. That is awesome. There's some rumors and reports that he might be there every weekend. That would be sweet, dude. That's like peak prime, you know, baseball to me. That would be so cool if that was a standing development. I really am hoping that that is the case in every weekend that he's there. A lot of park festivities this weekend with, you know, the City Connects debuts and whatnot, a lot of celebrities, etc. It was a pretty fun weekend. Unfortunately, the Tigers did a whole lot of nothing with all of that excitement. They didn't get swept or anything, but a disappointing weekend, I think, pretty objectively. Okay, so where does that leave us now? You have to beat the Marlins. You have to. The matchups are Sixto Sanchez was a 7.5 ERA against Matt Manning, 4.24 ERA. Ryan Weathers, 4.54 ERA against Reese Olson, was a 2.52 ERA in his 0-4 on the season. And then Trevor Rogers, 6.57 ERA against Casey Mize, 3.58. They have a 10-31 record. You know how everybody in the world has been giving the White Sox a ton of crap for being one of the worst teams we've ever seen? The Marlins have a worse record than the White Sox by 2 games. They try to just sneak that by you. They try to just not make that news, not talk about it. They try to keep it on the DL. We're exposing it. This is a brutal baseball team. You absolutely cannot consider yourself a serious team and lose this series. You cannot. They're already selling the Marlins. They sold their best hitter. The entire rotation is hurt, which is why all 3 guys you're facing this weekend, well, 2 of the 3 have ERAs over 6.5. All of them have ERAs over 4.5. Their offense is one of the worst in baseball, comfortably worse than yours, just in terms of runs scored this weekend. And like, if you're a longtime listener, you know, like I've never, what's one of my rules? Like, I don't promise or demand a sweep because sweeping a team is very hard. It is very difficult to sweep any Major League Baseball team in this sport, but you absolutely need to win at least 2 of your next 3. And if you're like, wow, the Marlins are really bad, you're stupid, they do need to sweep, I'm not blaming you and I'm not standing in the way of that take. This team stinks. Go win a series. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We will be back tomorrow recapping game 1 against the Marlins. That's a 6:40 start time on Monday evening. We'll probably have a roster move as well in the morning. Again, when Manning gets put on the roster, Sixto Sanchez, man, phenomenal season in 2020. What looks like he was a bright young pitcher in the sport and just has barely stayed on the field over the last 3 years. So rooting for his health, but hopefully the Tigers can take advantage of a guy who has just struggled mightily this season. We'll see what happens, but exactly 500, 40 games in. They've proven that when the offense goes, the when the offense goes, they are not going to win too many games. Shocking, I know. It's just a matter of, is the last 9 to 14 games, is that going to be all season, or is it just going to be highs and lows of inconsistency, and we're going to look back at an 80-ish win total and be like, oh well, when the offense was bad, we sucked, and when the offense was even remotely close to average, the pitching was good enough to get us some wins. Got 120 ball games left to find out. All right. What a frustrating weekend. Golly. 5th pick in the draft, really, for the Pistons, too? All right. I'm going to get out of here. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. Love and appreciate you all. I'll catch you all tomorrow, baby. Go Tigers.